Hi there, beautiful souls watching. Thank you and welcome. I'm Gabrielle, retired medium in Germany, and I like to share some of my otherworldly experiences and insights. So, this one is about the whale consciousness. I once came in contact with the whale consciousness while I was sitting in my mediumship development circle with other people, colleagues, and interested people who wanted to train their psychic senses. So we were sitting there with six people, including me, in a circle, and we opened our connection to spirit and all the positive beings, and we did some exercises, and suddenly all had the same perception. There was a giant whale's eye that was kind of swimming around the circle, and everybody got this really big whale eye that was watching us and looking at us, circling around the six people sitting in the circle. And that was really kind of weird in the first moment, although we already knew by training and education that even Earth is a living being and has an etheric body, an astral body, and a mental body, which are not visible with these 3D eyes, and that the animals have a soul and a soul group and consciousness and everything like that. So we did not really know what to do with that whale's eye. And then we just stayed with the atmosphere and the vibration of frequency, and that's also information and data that the whale was exchanging with us. And we felt all of us like being in the deep sea, really deep. It was all blue around us, and just this eye. There was no body of the whale, just this eye circling around us. And we all got the same feeling that this whale consciousness isn't only in the deep sea, but we all suddenly felt like being pulled out from our bodies with the astral body being out in space. So that was the first thing I noticed, that the whale consciousness is not from this earth. It is from somewhere else, from another planet. And when I started to research a little bit about that, I found that many old traditions talk about um, dolphins in Greek saving humans from drowning and things like that in the lore and in more old history. And it is even said in the spiritual realm that the whale and the dolphins were brought here from another planet, and like many other life forms were brought here from the over 20 seeder races that seeded life on this planet. They brought the plants and other animals and beings from their realms, and it was more or less like a garden. They tried to plant something and looked what is growing and evolving and what needs help and what cannot adapt. So this is right, like a divine, colorful zoo of everything that is out there, also in the universe, in other galaxies, on other planets. So the whale consciousness is really very special. It's really kind of spacey. And well, that was that. And it happened to me that sometime later, I think it was even some years, it took a lot of time sometimes to understand something. But when it happens to me like that, when I have contact with some other beings, or I am in another place in the astral or wherever, It's about the energy, and the body recognizes the energy and keeps kind of track of that energy like a GPS. So wherever I've been, I can go back there because my body knows the frequency, and just thinking of that and trying to meditate a little bit and getting into the feeling, into the atmosphere, I can go back to several places or to beings I have met before. So it happened to me again before I fell asleep, that this whale's eye appeared again in front of me and looked at me. And I asked him, what do you want from me? And he said, I want to show you something. And then he took me with him, was diving very, very deep to the ground of the ocean. And I was in my astral body, swimming and diving deep with the whale down to the bottom of the ocean. And the funny thing is, in your astral body, you can be in space and you don't need a spacesuit, and you feel like you can breathe there. And the same is underwater. I was in my astral body diving with this whale, and I could breathe underwater because the astral is different. Um, I had the feeling, at least, that I'm breathing there and I don't need it anything else. So we went to the bottom of the ocean, and in there, in the sand, I saw a big book lying there open with the little sand and the waves playing above it. And I went closer and looked at the book, and the page where it was opened looked like, to me, like a medieval book with these ornated initials, little pictures around a letter. And the closer I looked, I found it very interesting, but I couldn't read the language. I saw kind of words and kind of letters, but nothing I was used to. It was not any language I knew. Didn't look like Hebrew or Sanskrit or whatever, nothing of the old languages. It looked more like the letters were kind of just lines, a little bit in the direction like runes, lines and other lines and crossing lines and dots and lines and things like that. That reminded me a little bit of the Mayan script, which they count with dots and lines. Their counting system is like that. And then their hieroglyphs are just pictures. And the longer I looked at that book, I got kind of frustrated because I wasn't able to read it, but it was very fascinating to look at. And I was still wondering about this weird language. Then I suddenly heard the whale saying to me telepathically, I can translate for you. What do you want to know? And of course, I wanted to know something about myself, about my own spiritual path, or what's the next step. That's always the same thing. All of us want to know what's coming, what do I have to learn, what do I have to do. Um, and he translated. It was as if the waves, the water was moving the pages and suddenly opened up another page that was something about me. And his translation was really, really very special because it came out just as a poem with rhythm and rhymes, and I would have broken my brain to create a poem that's rhyming at the end with every line. And it just flew out effortlessly, and I wrote it down, and it was a poem about myself, and every end of the line was rhyming with the one before, and when a new started it rhymed with that. It was just kind of marvelous and wonderful for me because I never had that access to poetic messages, and I really liked it. And then I also was at the same time kind of pulled out and was into space. And the whale told me that they are from another planet. And he told me also that there are several water planets. Some we know with our science already, others we don't know because we haven't seen them yet by our material searching devices like Hubble telescope. Because if you look on the material level, you can go to planet Venus and it's just barren and hot and a rock planet. If you go on the etheric or on the astral level and you're not going there with your little robots and collecting stones and samples looking for some maybe dead bacteria that's still there showing you there has been life before. If you go there on the etherical or the astral, there is life because they evolved into the finer, subtle bodies, and the civilization of Venus is well known to some other people who have contact. And the funny thing is, even recently, I found at the Metaphysical channel they made one video about the whale consciousness, and my favorite remote viewer, John Vivanco, was telling more or less the same things that I perceived, that the whale consciousness is more or less above the human consciousness and that it's coming from outer space, from another planet, and was seeded here on Earth, and that they keep with their frequencies, their songs. The whales have these wonderful communication that sounds like songs, like they are singing, and even the dolphins as well. With their frequencies, they keep up in living in the medium, the conductor of the water, which is a great conductor for energy and sound and everything. So they maintain a high frequency in the oceans to keep up the frequency of the whole earth, whatever humans are doing on the surface, and maybe disturbing the frequency of the earth. So that was interesting, and I would advise you to have a look at the show at Metaphysical about the whale consciousness as well. So I'll leave you with that, and I hope it's a little hint that there are many other consciousnesses, and some very much high and higher developed than ours, with us on this planet, and they are doing kind of spiritual work without us even knowing. I mean, everybody likes whales and dolphins. I remember when I was in India, I just once saw a school of dolphins, and I wasn't even in the water. I was standing on the beach, and the school of dolphins was far out, but I saw them jumping and having joy and fun. And this energy of just enjoying life and playing like children, jumping and splashing in the water, this energy of joy hit me standing there on the beach, and I was just crying and laughing at the same time because it was so overwhelming and so strong. And joy is a high frequency. We should all have more joy and follow the joy to get more high and good vibrations into our lives. So I leave you with that now. Have a nice time. Be blessed on your soul path. Love and light to you. Bye.